Okay, my friends, here it is. The Saturday morning live stream back at the Garden Like a Viking headquarters, Zone 5/6. Now, we got to do the sound check real quick. You guys got to let me know if I'm blowing this microphone out because it's a different mic. You know, I'm in the ever evolving process of trying to get the sound right on all this stuff. So give me a second, okay? What is the sound check? Sunshine. Yes, what did I say? What did I say? Let me know where you're at. If you're watching this after the live has ended, let us know where you're at. What are you growing? What kind of hopes and dreams do you have for your indoor growing this winter? What are you going to be growing indoors? Are you growing the mushrooms? Are you going to be inoculating the logs with us here in a couple of weeks? If you are, go ahead and order the shiitake mushroom grain sawdust spawn. And that's the main one. Shiitake mushrooms are going to be the main one. Also, you can do lion's mane. Also, you can do any of the oysters. Well, the blue oysters would be best. And inoculate them on some maple logs. There's maple or oak, but maple is the best for all of the above. Now, we're going to be doing that in a couple of weeks, so you will see that video. So anytime between now and a month from now, you can inoculate the mushrooms into the logs. And this is going to be the way to do it, guys. I can already tell. This will be my first time doing this, of course, but we're going to make a video about it. Jerry, where we'll be doing it at, he's already done it last year and already been fruiting. The mushrooms are already fruiting, and it just seems like the way to go. Instead of having the buckets, which are great for indoor growing and stuff, but they come and then they go. You know, they come real fast, then they go. And they're not really, the shiitakes, you inoculate them once into the logs, and then it's all for several years, okay? Yes, hello, Pam. Sunshine, yes. Leland, sunshine in Illinois, yes. Brita Damgard, greetings from Denmark. Yes, my friend, greetings from USA. Donald Hughes, Esmas. Chris Black, Brian Airy, B. Hendricks, The Prodigal Gardener, Meyer Lemons, Val, Grandma Zoo, nice to see you here again. Okay, guys, let's see here. Okay, so I'm just trying to read back on some of these comments, what you guys have been talking about. But so the Taylor Reindl says, what's your garden update? Let's see, garden update. Well, you know, we were down in Tennessee for a while, and we were doing the bi-yearly consultation project, although now they've become dear friends, and it's really wonderful to see their family and stuff now. I just super look forward to it. But so now we are back here, and it's considerably colder here than it is in Tennessee. And we're looking out at the garden, and the Brussels sprouts are growing strong, even though there's like a woodchuck trying to eat them, but he's going to have to go. Then the Brunswick cabbages are doing really good. I mean, the Brunswick cabbages are, the leaves on those things are, I mean, one leaf is this big. And it's just huge. They're like 3-4 feet across, each of these cabbages, with a big old head inside that's forming. So we've got about another month from now, 3 weeks to a month, where the winter crops or the cold hardy stuff is still going to grow. See, we're about 2 weeks past our first frost. So the tomatoes, peppers, all that stuff's done. But the cold hardy stuff, such as the cabbages, Brussels sprouts, beets, all the Asian greens, the Chinese cabbage, the Napa cabbage, all that stuff, the komatsuna, the shijimisa, the tatsoi, all of that stuff we left in the ground. So thankful I didn't get fed up and just rip the whole thing out then, because it's still producing, I mean, pretty much every day. Big component, the non-meat components of the meal, of the dinner, which is the main meal of the day, come from the garden. I mean, they just, like last night, we had the hot pot stew, the Japanese, like chanko nabe, like kind of like that. So I've been making bone broth. It's bone broth season. Yes, it's bone broth season. And so what we do is we get the bones, and the knuckles and the marrow bones, the beef neck, the ox tail, all those kind of things we put into the pot. I've got a massive giant stew pot. That's right. We've got a massive giant pot. And in there, we also put, guys, listen to this. I cannot recommend highly enough to be making the bone broth right now. The bone broth is one of the most nutritious things you can get. It's comparable to beef liver as far as its nutritional components, not in the same way, but a lot more there. So here's what's in it, all right? All the bones, which have got really good quality fats and vitamins and minerals that the body needs. Bone marrow is good for the bones and good for the brain. And in there, we put celery. And when I say we put in there, I'm talking a huge double-fisted handful like that of each thing. And the stock pot's like this big around. It's massive, all right? It's about 17 to 20 quarts in each that I end up canning from each batch. So we put in about this huge of a bunch of celery, that many carrots, 2 huge handfuls of shiitake mushrooms, and a big old slab of kombu, which is seaweed. And then we put in like 5 or 6 massive onions. We put in about 8 whole heads of garlic, and put in a small handful of uncracked peppercorns, and a handful of sea salt. It's just so good. Oh, and then the most important stuff, well, it's all important, but sage. I'm talking a big old thing of sage, big old thing of rosemary, big thing of thyme, some bay leaves probably, I mean, if we have them. And this time some parsley. See, we throw it all in there and we let it simmer. We bring it up to a rolling boil and then back it off. It's covered. And then let it simmer for 24 hours. Yeah. I mean, long time. Everything in there turns to mush, basically, almost. It's like you wouldn't want to be eating. You just touch the carrots and they just smush up like baby food. You know, it could make it good baby food, maybe. I don't know. Don't quote me on that, but it's very, very soft. So, yes, that's right. And esmas, yes, vinegar. I also put apple cider vinegar in there, definitely. Mo says, my man over here calling you a waste man, LOL, because he loves oxtail faux soup, but I love using the leftover for additional bone broth. Yeah, a lot of people do eat that oxtail. I've not really been exposed to how you eat that. You know, for me, I like it in the bone broth. I'm still eating it. I like it in the bone broth because it makes it really nice and rich. It does add a different depth to it. Yeah. Now, I don't like to make mine as thick as some people. Some people's like, no, bone broth, you got to be able to stick a spoon in it and it has to stand up. Well, why? Okay, there's no more nutritional benefits. It's more concentrated. But what we have here is like nourishment thriving in a jar, in a can, okay? Because this is all those things I just described that boiled, that none of it is wasted, and it all goes into the stew. It's wonderful. And so this is the basis of the chanko nabe, okay? So you can take the bone broth, bring it up to a rolling boil, a quart of it, and then a quart of water, or just pure bone broth, although it's pretty strong. So a quart, equal parts bone broth, water, and put 1 small dash of miso in it, an organic miso paste, if you want. You don't have to. And then once it's at a rolling boil, you just put the vegetables in there for a little bit, and it simmers them, and it's super delicious, guys. Now, yesterday we got some pastured from the Amish, our Amish friends. We got some pastured pork, 100% pastured. And so this stuff's really good. And so I made some meatballs, some pork meatballs, and put them in there and let that simmer in there. It's just so nourishing and good when you drink that stuff. Man, I mean, I can feel it. Like the skin feels nice and moisturized. You know, it just keeps the fullness in the face, all that stuff. It's just wonderful. So even when we went down to Tennessee, even though we ate constantly, you know, we ate good Southern cooking, delicious, amazing food. Still, I lost weight. I lost like 3 pounds. So that's because we don't have the Viking Virility Shake, which is like an additional 1,500 calories every day. So among other things, I just cook really nutrient dense, definitely. So yeah, so I'm back up here, and we made the bone broth, and because I'm trying to make space in the freezer because we got a whole beef coming. Yes. So Teats Treats, $5. Thank you very much, my friend. Says, my garden experienced massive gains after your videos, lives, and the consultation. Sorry about it. The bad advice. Did your sundew make it? Yes. Now, the thing with the sundew is it's still alive, but it's like not happy. It was thriving. I mean, it was so happy before. Dark green or nice lime green, like a good green color. And putting dew out all over the place. Now it got hit with a frost, like a slight, maybe like a 33 degrees. But now it's inside, and now it's just kind of dark brown. Not dead, but like there's a little bit of new growth at the top. So we'll see. I'm going to put it in the grow tent though downstairs with the microgreens and all that kind of stuff. It's because we know there will be plenty of little fungus gnats or something like that inside the grow tents. It's just a fact of life. Yes, that's right. So you missed the Thrive this week. Yeah, my fault, guys. We were down there working in Tennessee, and it was the first time in 2 years I just completely spaced it out and didn't even remember it was Monday. So we didn't do a Thrive this week, but it's okay. We were extremely busy, and it was a good experience. I mean, it's always a great experience down there. So yes, look at the Thrive Tribe. No Thrive this week. Sam Potzik, yes, Taylor. Meyer Lemon says, Nate, 3 of us want to know how you preserve bone broth. Can it? It's the ultimate thing to can. It's by the onset of winter, I have put up probably 40 quarts of bone broth, and every one of them will get used over the winter time. This isn't just like, now remember, if you guys don't have experience with this is nothing like the stuff you get from the store, which is just bone broth. It's like water with the little flavorings or some bouillon or something stupid like that. No, this is like an event in itself. This is you could sustain yourself on this. This is how I come off. Now, this is advanced class, okay? And this is going to be in the paid course that I'm creating for the Master Cleanse. But this is the new way, new meaning the past 4 years, of coming off the Master Cleanse. We don't do the orange juice anymore. We do bone broth. And once you go 10 days, 15, 25 days without eating anything solid, you just have the lemonade mixture. This stuff, oh my goodness, when you heat that up on your last day, one sip and the body is like, yes, more. And it feels so good to the digestive system. It's amazing. So that's just one of the many ways that I use it. I use it as a base for all kinds of stuff. I'm constantly using this stuff because look it up. I mean, bone marrow's got all kinds of good vitamins and minerals, growth factors, stem cells, all kinds of beneficial stuff. You need to be getting it into your life. There's all kinds of ancient theories about, once we were able to crack bones and things and develop tools to crack bones, that's what made the brain grow bigger because of the components and all of these things. Who really knows about any of that? But what we do know is that you can consume bone broth like this, and you will feel amazing, and you can thrive, okay? And you'll have plump skin. You won't have dark circles under your eyes and dry, ashy skin. This really helps. Packed full of collagen because of the knuckles, the beef knuckles and the oxtails got tons of collagen, all that stuff. Now I preserve it, so I'll make it. Here's how you got to do it though. I made a video on it, but years ago, several years ago, but I was only doing just the bones. For that video, I wanted to do just a basic because I didn't want everyone thinking that you had to put in all this other stuff. You can just do bones. It's really good as well. but the other stuff makes it, in my opinion. So I will brew it for 24 hours, and then I will strain it off. All right, and discard the solids. I don't even compost them because you're guaranteed to attract rats or fox or whatever it is, or raccoons to the compost pile. I just throw it in the garbage. I know. If you have a good composting operation, or you trench compost it, or you compost in place, go ahead. Where you're going to do some squash next year, dig a hole and pour it all in there, and bury it. Throw some coffee grounds in there, throw a few whole eggs in there, something like that, bury it. And then next year, plant your squash or watermelon or really hungry plant like a big tomato on top of that, and it will be really good. Definitely have done that before, but we just don't have the space here in this plot at this time. So after I strain it off, I will put it into the cold overnight. This part's very important because the fat and impurities sort of will rise to the top. Now, this isn't a really good kind of fat. I mean, it is a good kind of fat, but it doesn't taste, it's just dirty. You can just taste, it's just kind of dirty. It's not like suet. It's nothing like beef tallow, okay? It's there is tallow in it, yes, in the fat, but it's good, a little bit of it, but you can have too much. I mean, because if you don't strain it off, each jar will have like this much fat in it, which is just too much. So I let that solidify overnight in a cool area so that in the morning I can just lift off that whole cake of fat up top. Discard that, or you can cook with it, but you'll see what I mean when I'm saying it's kind of like removing the impurities. All right, and then once I remove that, I will reboil it. All right, I will bring it back up to a boil, and then I will can it. Yeah, I'll put it into the jars, hot pack it, can it, bring it up to proper temperature and everything, proper pressure and all that stuff. And then it's only like a 25 minutes at 10 pounds once it's brought up to temperature, which is actually like an hour and a half, the whole process. So that's how I do it. Yeah, no, I do not water bath it. I do not water bath it because why? I mean, bone broth doesn't want to keep very well. And it's the fat in there and stuff. It's not acidic whatsoever. And so water bathing would be something I would do if I had to, but I don't have to. I've got the all-American pressure canner, guys. I don't know if you guys, what you've done with your pressure canners, but it's canning time. But look real quick. Guys, this thing is unbelievable, okay? I've had several different kinds of pressure canners over the years, and they all are like a dangerous kind of, bomb waiting to explode feeling kind of thing to the point where I wouldn't even be in the kitchen when those things were, I didn't trust them. But this thing, since I got this thing, it's like, you can tell it's industrially made. It's a real deal. It's like 3 times as heavy as any of the other pressure canners, and using it straight away, you can just tell this thing is rock solid. I have no problem cooking next to this thing when it's going. Now, the flip side is that this thing was almost $600, okay? 6 times the price of the other ones, but it's well worth it, in my opinion. So that's how I do it. That's how I do it. So yes, electric pressure canner. Let's see here. Teats Treats. Don't we have to pressure cook anything we can that doesn't get high enough acidity? That can be endlessly debated. If you go onto Facebook groups and stuff like that, endless debates over all of that, because there's what the scientists say, and then there's what my grandmother's been doing for 150 years, and yada, yada, yada. So at the end of the day, you have to make the choice yourself. You can't rely on any kind of, well, this paper says that, or this book says that, or these people say that. Doesn't matter. You got to rely on yourself. as far as that goes. My philosophy is if you have a pressure canner, pressure can everything. Why not? Why not? I mean, what's the downside? I don't get it. It takes a little bit longer. It's a little bit more work, yes. The only thing that I would not, or that I have water bathed, is tomato sauce. That's the only thing. And because it keeps so well anyways. Yeah, Meyer Lemons, get over the fear of the pressure canner. If you get this All-American one, there's a link in the description of all my videos to the All-American pressure canner. And it's the last one you ever have to buy. It's amazing. You don't have to fear anything. You can just tell this thing is rock solid. It's not like those Presto or whatever the other little flimsy ones are. If that's all you can afford, do it. I use that for years. I literally have one or two of them downstairs, and I use them for years, and they work, you know? But it's like, you know, what's a super cheap car? You know, like an old Geo Metro, you know, or like a Suzuki Sidekick or something like that. Yeah, it's a car, but then you get a Cadillac and you're like, oh, wait, wait, this is a car, you know? So it's the difference, something like that, you know? No offense if you guys are still driving those Geo Metros, 3 cylinders. So, yes, Sam, it is definitely industrial grade. I mean, you crank that thing down. It literally says, crank it as tight as you can get it. Nothing ever says that. They said, don't use a wrench, but hand tight. So I tried to break it. You can't, no way. Ooh. Muddy Paw says, my Power Cooker XL went off like Roman candle in my kitchen last month. They've been recalled. What is that, a Power Cooker XL? Is that like a Instapot? For those of you wondering, yes, I have mic'd up the coffee now. It's got its own mic. Sorry, Senator Joseph McCarthy, if you're still watching. So the guys, remember on like the 3rd, that's right, I will post it. But me and Mark from Self Sufficient Me are going to be on the Urban Farmer podcast. So I don't know if it's a Saturday or not. It might be. I have to check. I should know better than that. But let me see here real quick. Let me just pull it up for you guys, okay? Give me a second. I know I should not be on my phone while I'm doing a live broadcast, but I have to because I want to find out for you guys. Man, all these companies hitting me up. So, Garden Like a Viking, did you happen to see my last email? Just following up on our collaboration potential. We think your audience could really like this automatic sprinkler watering, blah, blah, blah. No, sorry. But then see, if I don't even respond to these. I mean, I get literally multiples every single day of companies wanting to sponsor you, you know, to the point now where I don't even respond to them because if I do, then they hit me back. Well, can I ask why? I'm like, what do you mean? Why? I said no. I don't. Well, I think that if you want to grow your clientele, I think you really need to reconsider our offer. What? You know, you need to stop. Just stop. So, okay, here it is. Let's see here. Here it is. Okay, check it out. That's Mark from Self Sufficient Me. I don't know how it's going to go down. I don't know what we're going to talk about or I have no idea. I was just told, okay, it's a Sunday. That's what I thought. It's a Sunday, November 3rd, 12:30 p.m. Pacific time. 12. So that's like 3:30 here. So I'm looking forward to it just because, you know, I might at first be a little bit starstruck. Let me just warn you guys, okay? If it really goes down, I might be a little bit starstruck because Mark is one of the OGs in the game, and when I used to like watch gardening videos on YouTube, he was one that I always watched, you know. So yeah, he's one of the originals. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. Lee Starr says, gee, Snay, I'm disabled, living on a fixed income. $60 would be more in my range. Probably why I don't have a pressure canner. Don't let that stop you, my friend. There is get on Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace. You can find one. If you're motivated to do it, if you really want to preserve your own stuff, which I highly recommend that you do, then make it happen. Get onto Facebook Marketplace and find one for $60 or for however much you have to spend. Or if you can buy a brand new one for that, I don't even know if they make them that low, but you'll be able to find a used one, So just make sure that the ring is good and that it's got the weight and everything, and you'll be fine. Just make sure that you're not in the, never mind. Yes, I would do it. Don't let that stop you. I'm just saying that I've arrived to the last pressure canner that I'll ever need. I might get the bigger model at some point for 19 quarts, but it's like, $1,000 or something. So that'll be down the road. Ha! Teats Treat says, what would Grandma say about the electric pressure cooker? Oh, she'd be laughing. Ooh, nice. Lisa T. I've always borrowed a pressure canner. Recently used years worth of Amazon points to get an American canner. Yes. Probably one of the wisest purchases you could make. One of the wisest things you could spend those Amazon points on. Yeah. Mo says, what's the pros and cons to an electric one pressure cooker? I don't know. I've never used an electric one. I guess some people would say, well, you're relying on the grid, but you're pretty much relying on the grid either way. Either way. I totally forgot about the Geo Metros. Yeah, you remember those? Whoa, fireworks. Oh, it thought it was a double thumbs up. See, it likes the Geo Metro as well. Ooh, Million Pumpkin says, I had a Geo Metro, by the way. Yeah, okay. Cinnamon Bear says, the Amish water bath everything. Maybe. I can't attest to that. I don't know why they would, though. Why would they? But yeah, I can't attest to that. Do you know from firsthand experience that that's the way it goes? All the Amish water bath everything? That sounds like a blanket statement. But that could be true. I can't say that it's not. Jay Dixon, you're talking about something, okay. And yes, Sam Potzik, slurp some bone broth. That's right, Brian. The Senator Joseph McCarthy never came to the Thrive Live, nor have I heard a word from him or whoever it is. Let's see. Okay, several things. One is, I'm going to start doing the garden renovation, and so let me show you something. If you guys have T-posts to pull out, I just got a new one because my last one, I thought I had it here, but it was actually still in the mountains where I left all my whole life of stuff that I had there. I just left it. So I got a T-post puller. If you guys don't have one, these things are amazing. They really are. Look. This is a good quality one. It feels nice and solid, okay? So it's pretty much, it's brand new. I've never used it before, but we got, a couple dozen T-posts to pull out and stuff. Don't be hurting your back trying to pull them out. So these things are amazing. You can just put them in there, use that leverage, and pull them right out. Now this one I like. It comes with a chain to wrap around things. If you got to pull out like round posts or something like that, you can wrap this around it. You can also, it comes with this plate so that you can put this around. This is heavy steel plate. You can put it around the T-post to whatever length you need and jack it up that way. So I'm really looking forward to using this thing. It's gonna, because remember, that's one of the number one ways to throw out your back is by trying to pull T-posts out of the ground. It's a weird angle and it's an immovable object for the most part. So a lot of people hurt themselves trying to pull T-posts out. Unfortunately, ask me how I know this. So I got the T-post puller. Just use leverage, and it's no problem. It was like $70, you know, not super cheap, but well worth it. It will obviously last forever. It will obviously last forever, and I mean, how could you put a price on preventing a herniated disc? You know, it's absolutely priceless. Ultimately, no cost is too much. So, just wanted to say about that. John says, what's up, Nate the Great? Thank you so much for the consultation and the schedule and varieties and all the true knowledge and experience. Starting a market garden 2024, might need another. Yes, we can do that, my friend, definitely. The schedule of things, the varieties of things, all very important. Yes. Now, speaking of varieties, do you remember the sweet potatoes? Okay, so what'd you guys call it last year? Last time? Okay, yeah. Wayne says you might as well be pulling it out of concrete. Yeah, most T-posts, especially here in the Midwest with clay soil, is once it's in there, yeah, you might as well be like pulling it out of concrete. Forget it. Really difficult, and you'll end up bending them and stuff. So this T-post puller, no problem. You can put all your weight on that thing, just and it lifts it out of the ground. So the let's see. Okay, varieties. Yeah. So the remember the what'd you guys call it? Scurf, I think it was, right? Is the this thing on the sweet potatoes. So we had a great sweet potato harvest this year. Plenty of potatoes, but they have this blackened spots on them. This is one of the worst ones. They've got some of these blackened spots on them, and I'd never seen before. I thought, what? And so one of you guys clued us in, said it's scurf. It's a fungal thing. So I've looked it up, researched it, and it's a fungal thing that comes from contaminated slips, basically, or from contaminated material left in the ground over the winter. Okay, so up until the next season. So it's unfortunate. This is my first year ever dealing with this, but nothing actually happens to the storage capability or the flavor, supposedly. All right, supposedly nothing happens to the storage or the flavor. It's just a visual thing. So very bad for market gardens, yeah? But we'll see. I mean, I'm not that happy about it, but now, when thinking of the cause, okay, so it could be one of two things. One, this is one of the first years that I purchased all the slips. I purchased all the slips because you remember last year, we had the fiasco where I just had hundreds of pencil thin sweet potatoes because I way over fertilized it. Yeah. Yes, Alex. Thank you. Thank you for that. And so I way over fertilized the sweet potatoes last year. So I got a bunch of real small little thin ones, bunch of them. And they didn't keep. And so I had to buy slips this year. Now, this is the first year me doing it. And what's making me think that, well, I don't know yet, because here's the other variety that was about 20 feet away from it, 10 feet away. It's also got the scurf, okay? I got both of these from the same company, both these slips from the same company. Now, it could be the slips, or it could be that I was practicing the too much chop and drop in the same location for too many years. That's also what I'm sort of intuitively feeling could be an issue. The sweet potato bags, all the sweet potato foliage and stuff, chopping and dropping it right in the area where I'm doing the sweet potatoes. Typically, I haven't had problems with that. And JDOM, the whole foundation of JDOM principle is based upon that practice, taking crop residue and chopping, dropping it right where it lands. So, once I started the channel, for the first time ever, I started going exclusively JDOM because everybody was into it and stuff. Before that, I did JDOM and KNF and just so many other things all together, But the past few years was when I was just doing the JDOM system, because I was really trying to go for it, push it. And I don't know. I can't say either way which was which. And yes, when I chop and drop it, I would add a few JMS and things. So, and for the most part, got phenomenal. I mean, great results, not phenomenal, but for the most part, got good results. There was not, this kind of issue. It's hard to tell now. Okay. So now, Christina, unfortunately, I kind of am agreeing with that over the past handful of years, especially when I started going exclusively to that system. I'm changing things out. You're always distilling things. You're always learning, always refining your systems, always developing more. And so that's why this year I am hot composting everything. Hot composting it all. I'm not chopping, dropping anything at all. And so I'm going to hot compost everything and then bring it back out and apply it that way. All right. So we're still making compost. We're still following the rules of nature. We're not breaking any of the parameters. We're still using organic matter. We're still using the soil food web. Just the technique is a bit different. And so remember, to hot compost, you need to check its temperature. You really want to be checking its temperature. So get you one of these. It's really beneficial. And I've been making the hot compost. It's so easy. I got this system developing of the hot compost with the 3 bays. And I'll show you guys. I'll be making that video probably in the spring, early spring. But it's very effective. And I'm loving the result of the hot compost. It's nice and rich and black, smells like earth. There's no foul smell. There's no insects in it. I'm just loving it. So that's my honest, experience with all of that. And that's kind of what I'm attributing, what I feel like this might be, too many years of chopping up sweet potatoes, putting them right in the same sweet potato spot. The first few years, it worked great. But we're starting to run into sort of issues with that over time. Not only that, but the symphyllins moved in to certain areas. So we'll see. But yeah, see, most of them are like this. They've just got a little bit of it. But still, that's way more than I've ever had, and that's too much. Okay. Fabrizio, I don't really think so. I don't really think so, But I just started having too much disease. And so in the areas where I was exclusively JDOM. And so I am adjusting the sales, a bit, adjusting, for things. And so now I'm hot composting. I'm going back to the way that I started learning it all these years ago, which was hot compost everything and aerated compost teas. I learned more in Northern California 10 years ago in the, more than that now. 14 years ago, in the sort of Elaine Ingham method. That's where it all began, in that sort of thing, the soil food web type, using the aerated compost teas and stuff. So I'm just going back to that. And this year there was no disease. I'm not following that Elaine Ingham style. It's my own thing that I've developed over the time. And this year, now that I have implemented the hot compost to everything and the aerated compost teas and the bat guano bloom fertilizer with its chitin and its way to feed the fungal networks and things, really has pretty much eliminated the diseases. Besides this, which I didn't even know that was there. It was below soil disease that I had no idea was there. Otherwise, I probably could have treated it more in the earlier stages, but the tomatoes, all that stuff, just no diseases. It was no pepper disease, no nothing. It was great, except for the drought, the extreme drought. Yeah. So that's pretty much the lowdown on all of that. That's how the year went, and that's how we're adjusting the sales for the next year. Yeah. Yes. So the Spencer says low silicon will open the door for fungal issues. Yes, that could happen. Now I don't have any feeling that I'm deficient in silica in any way, not with the practices that we have. Cinnamon Bear. Nate, how often should we change out the soil in bags, or is there anything else we should be doing? Okay, I can tell you from my experience that the bags, just adding some compost lasts about 4 years before you start getting issues. 3 to 4 years before you start getting issues. And I mean big time issues, as in things just won't grow, or they immediately develop massive disease issues. 3 to 4 years. That's what I've done. It's pretty much consistent. After that, the balance starts getting thrown off, because remember, it's not just nutrients that the plants, it's not just the consumption of new nutrients. It's the assimilation of the waste product that is also very important. We have to remember that it's a whole cycle. And so that's what tends to build up more than, so if it's like, well, we'll just keep adding blood and bone meal and just forever, it can just keep growing. It doesn't really work that way. I wish it did. And I thought it did a long time ago, but experience tells me otherwise. And so when you really examine it and you understand the relationship and the way that the plants and the microorganisms work, then you can say, oh, yes, clearly there's a buildup of waste product that's happening as well that can't be assimilated. And so that's why the 3rd or 4th year, it's like just self-destruction. It just doesn't want to grow, you know? So let's see. Pilar says, okay, what's this question? Christopher Mennel. Hi, Nate. Do you have a concoction or fertilizer that you mix with the water for cut flowers? Just a little tiny bit of sugar. That's all. That's all I've ever done. It's just a little tiny bit of sugar. Now, is there better ones? Probably. Have I ever had an issue with that? No. The most important thing for the cut flowers that I have found is harvesting them at the right time. Early in the morning. That's the time you will get double the lifespan, triple the lifespan, as if you take them in the late afternoon. Then they don't last long. But if you take them first thing in the morning, when it's still cool, before the sun has directly hit them, they will last the longest. Yeah. And just a little bit of sugar is all that is needed. Yes, Alex Coonan. Definitely a good preventative measure to remove diseased material. I still chop and drop healthy things. Yeah, I mean, I'm really into the green manures. The past handful of years, really into the green manures. I just had phenomenal results everywhere that a green manure has been applied. So that is that's basically a chop and drop, except you incorporate it. Let's see. Ooh, yeah. Lee Starr says the drought sucked. Going with drip irrigation next season. Absolutely. Me too. Me too. Because we are not relying on the rain another season. So, and I have decided to hold off on all the renovation videos. I'll do them in the early. So I'm going to just kind of stop making videos on this channel. I'll always be doing the live, but we will kind of take a break from doing content and stuff on this channel. We'll still do some, but then in January, we're going to hit it hard. We're going to really hit it hard. Let's see. Oh, okay. Okay, that's fine. That is fine, Tommy. We can send you the onions, but we are officially sold out on the onions. Now we have like 3 more orders that we have not filled yet, so we're going to fill those this upcoming week. So don't worry. A couple of you sent the payment last week. We will get them out early this coming week, but with the rest of the orders. But we're pretty much sold out. So, but it's okay. We'll do it, Tommy. No problem. Thank you. And let's see here. Gary Smith, $25. Thank you very much, my friend. Appreciate the contribution, consistent contribution. No question. No question, right? Well, thank you very much. So let us see here. The when we went down to Tennessee, now uh, it was a lot of work. You know, there's a lot of work going on a ranch like that with chickens and hogs, or well, not hogs anymore, but chickens and goats and sheep and cow and all kinds of things, a bunch of kids and stuff. And so there's a lot that needs done. And my partner was like, "So when you get when you get the land, when you get the ranch, you're not going to be making videos and stuff still, are you? You're not going to have any time for any of that." Um, Using, sort of our experience down there as a gauge, because you work nonstop. You're moving all the day, sun up to sundown. And but it feels really good. It's a wonderful thing. That's how my life was in the mountains. It's just wonderful. And so, but then it's so that was a really good point. It like seems like you're not going to be able to make any videos and stuff. You won't have time for that. But in reality, it's going to be so much easier to make content because like right now with the garden and everything, I'm like, you have to struggle to make content. Like what new content? I mean, what can you make and stuff? So it's there's not a lot. You have to really think hard and come up with like creative content ideas, or kind of. I mean, you have to. But when you have the ranch like that, man, the content creates itself. I was down there, and just everywhere you look is amazing content. I mean, we'll be doing all kinds of video. It'll be so much easier because there will be videos about establishing new gardens. We'll have test gardens. We'll have one JDOM only garden. We'll have one Back to Eden only garden. We'll have one Viking method garden only. We will distinctly have these separate garden plots all in the same area, fenced in the same way, so that we can say, and we'll have a Ruth Stout only garden. Yes, we'll have it like that. And so right there is, I mean, just that is endless content. So much to learn, so much to know, so many experimentations. But then we'll also be having chickens. And we'll also have a couple hogs, a couple cows, a milk cow. And it will, but the focus will be everything that the animals eat will be grown on site. Everything that they eat will be grown on site. If that means we can only have a few of this and of that, then so be it. But so all of that is just endless, beautiful, wonderful content. Especially we will, I don't know, more people will be involved. We'll have some other channel, because I could do a whole channel on cooking. I mean, definitely, easily do a whole channel on cooking where we do cook with me or lives, all kinds of stuff. I just don't have the processing power to do all that. I just don't have the manpower to do all that, so, but if we did, once we do, then other people can be involved with the filming and the editing and stuff like that. Easy. We can make content for days. No problem. So, yes, nothing gets by you. Yeah. Yes, thank you, Mo. It says, don't leave your tribe hanging, even if it's just shorts. We enjoy your videos. Thank you very much. And that's really true. That's right. And we will be doing that. It's just it's hard. It's hard as a content creator, when you just see like your metrics not doing well and stuff like that. It's like, well, what do people want? What are we gonna? It'll just be better when there's endless content on a ranch, So but in my gardener, I did not know that. Just bought a farm to help with content creation. You mean like you mean like where he's put the greenhouses and stuff like that? You don't mean like a farm with animals and stuff, yeah? But yeah, I got you, Mo. We will be. We will. Bada Bada, new member. Yes, thank you, my friend. Welcome. Let's see here. Sam Potzik. Let's see what we got. The $10. Thank you very much, my friend. For the land. Thank you. Thank you very much, Sam. Yes, we are full steam ahead trying to figure out how that's going to happen. How that is, it's all about establishing the revenue sources for that. now. So we will see. We will see about all that, where it goes. But I've already seen it. I've already seen it. Okay, Captain Jerry. So it says, hi Nate, I'm following your recipes for the brown sugar fish fertilizer. To me, it's not getting to a liquid state. Should I add water? No, do not add anything. If you followed the instructions exactly, equal parts brown sugar and fish, a little bit more brown sugar, an extra 10% on top, we'll say, then just leave it. Do not add anything. So many people have contacted me. Hey, Nate, so I made that exact question. I'm not coming down on you. I'm just saying I get this a lot. That exact question. Hey, so I made the brown sugar and it doesn't seem to be breaking down very fast. So I added some labs. Oh, okay. Well, why'd you do that? Well, I just thought that it would help. Okay. Well, you've totally thrown off the whole thing. The osmotic pressure is not going to be, is not going to work like that. You're going to make something, but it's not going to be the high quality FAA. It's not. So, and they're like, well, then I put an air stone in it and I went ahead and added some molasses and I went ahead and okay. So you're making something totally different, which is cool, or whatever. But if you're trying to learn a new system, first learn it exactly how it's supposed to be done. Okay. So you mix it up, equal parts, maybe 10% more brown sugar on top, and that's it. That's it. It will break down, but it takes time. It can take a year for that to break down. That's why you make it for next season. If you need fish fertilizer now, you make the hydrolysate and then you do add labs and the molasses. Yes, but it's a different process, different recipe, different ratios, and it's a different product. So that's why you learn the FAA specifically, make that, start that, let it digest till next year. And then you can make the fish hydrolysate. Will be ready in just a couple of weeks or a month, depending. It's not as good though. The fish hydrolysate still smells. It really does until like a year of breaking down. The only one that does not smell at all whatsoever is the FAA. It smells just wonderfully sweet and delicious and amazing. Now, my FAA that you saw from the video that I made is still breaking down. I didn't strain anything off. I just left it outside all summer long. I'm about to bring it in pretty soon because even though it can freeze, I have found obviously that if it freezes or if you leave it outside over the winter, microbially it will be fine, but it will just take forever to break down. It will basically not break down any further over the winter. So you bring it into the basement, yeah? And it doesn't create pressure. It doesn't create, yeah. So it's pretty awesome, but just make sure that you do it the right way. So give it a stir, get it up under there, get it up under the liquid. Okay, so if you've got the liquid starting, get it under the liquid. Okay, but other than that, you don't need to do anything else. So I hope that answers your question. I was not coming down on you, I was just saying that's, I get that question all the time. So next question, Wayne, what I found with the green manure I planted this year, I can tell what areas are in need of attention by how well the crop does. Yes, this is very good and a wonderful aspect of using the green manures. When you plant like a clover or something, for example, you will see some patches will grow really strong and well, some patches not so well, and some patches not at all. And that is a direct indication of how already fertile the soil is. And you'll notice after a couple of seasons of doing green manures that the land will be much more fertile and loose, and things will grow so much better there. Because on a bigger scale, short of manures, you can't really, buying dry amendments for like a big scale, big is relative, but like, a couple thousand square foot garden or something like that, quarter acre, half acre, something like that. To buy dry amendments, you basically have to have like a market garden business, where it justifies the cost. But if you're trying to grow your own food, then the only thing that can really cover that kind of area is manures, if you can get the good stuff from the right places. But other than that, the green manure is very good at that because you grow the biomass. It's amazing. You just get the seed, sprinkle it out nice and thick, let it grow up. I've made several videos on this, but one very good one called the green manure method. Grow your own fertilizer, and man, you get a big old crop of nice, rich organic material that will break down, feed the life in the soil, add organic material into the soil. So I highly recommend, if you're just starting out, and you've got like real heavy clay soil, a few years of green manure before you go into a more no-till type method can be very beneficial of whipping it into shape. Yeah. Because how many of you know people that start doing the no-till right away? They just get cardboard and compost, lay down, because I saw it on TV or I saw it on YouTube. Richard Perkins does it this way, so that means I should do it this way. No, that doesn't mean. It means for him, Richard Perkins, in his area in Sweden, that it works out great. In his market garden, it works for him with his soils and everything. But for many of us, that doesn't work like that right away. So they're like, well, Charles Dowding does it. Well, he's also in the cradle of fertility. I mean, a very nice, mild growing conditions with different types of soil. So in the first couple of years, though, for people that, and I know this, I did this several different times over the years and have consulted with so many people, and they will start that type. They'll just take their clay backyard that just has grass in it, put down cardboard, and put a foot of compost over it. Okay. So what happens is that compost breaks down, and they end up with about a half inch or maybe over a couple years of doing that, a couple of inches of organic matter on top of rock solid clay, and nothing changes. So the roots actually, and if you look and examine, the roots are actually growing in just those top few inches of compost. They hit that rock hard clay and just spread out. They don't penetrate it, So that's what happens with a lot of people. And I noticed this when I take plugs, like with a shovel, go out into your no-till, and take a shovel and dig down and look at the layers. You'll see the layers there. And you'll see that the roots kind of taper off. They virtually stop just an inch or so, if that, into the clay. So for the first several years, it can be very beneficial to green manure it and get that clay worked in, work in some peat or some biochar, work in something to that if you have the capability. Then you can transition to the no-till type. Yeah. Much more success that way, guys. Much more success. Marty Raspberry, new member. Welcome, my friend, even though I remember that name. Yes, Mo says, there's a reason the Vikings wanted England with all that fertile land. Absolutely. Think about it. They came from an area with very rocky soil and deep frost and deep freezes and things. And they came to England and they were like, oh, wow, man, look at this soil. This stuff's rich and fertile, and the climate is mild, just super mild, clouds and mild all the time, fog, great. So they're like, you know what? I think we like this land. You know what? I think we're gonna call it ours now. How about that? So yeah, the Vikings tended to take extended stays in the places that they visited. That's one way to put it. So let's see here. Dav says, hey, Nate, is it too late to sow crimson clover or mammoth red clover? Official first frost date is October 1st, but haven't got a frost yet. I'm definitely sowing the winter rye, though. Okay, so your clovers could mammoth red, because if your first frost date is October 1st, you're probably kind of far north, aren't you? So you wouldn't want to be doing crimson clover. Mammoth red could work. It's pretty late though. The clover that we planted about 3 weeks ago, a month ago probably, is it was a solid month ago. It's about this tall, but it's already in dormancy, so it's already stopped growing for the year, and it will start growing in the springtime. But I don't think you'll have very good success planting any of the clovers now. But definitely the winter rye. Winter rye will laugh at that. You can put winter rye down; it will grow right now, so no problem. Yep. Okay, Jay Dixon says, okay, wait. Let's see. Okay, a couple of different questions. Cinnamon Bear. I'm noticing where I was doing Back to Eden that the soil is very grainy and almost like pebbles, not good like soil should be. Yeah, the Back to Eden is a long-term thing. Remember that. So like when we get the land, the first things we're going to do, one, plant fruit trees and shrubs and bushes all over the place. Two is start the Back to Eden plot, because it will take years. Whoa, that's a new one. What did I do for the balloons? Because it will take several years for the for the wood chips to really become good. It takes. That's where I've already talked about Back to Eden a lot, but that's where most people fail, is that they don't give the wood chips enough years to become properly broken down. So the Jay Dixon says, Nate, I have a free source of manure, but worry about broadleaf herbicides. I'm looking at storing it. Should it be in open air, and for how long? So, well, if you're worried about the broadleaf herbicide, then that's a very real. Like my last video, a couple of videos ago, this is why I'm not using manures in this garden anymore. But you can see, the thing is, it's almost sinister in the sense that not even hot composting will denature the broadleaf herbicides. So it's not like you can compost it and it'll be fine. It's so you really need to, if you really want to use it, you need to test it first, and even that can be iffy. But take some and plant beans, plant some peas, plant several different things into it and see how they grow. All right, and just see. But if you're going to store it, it should be covered. You should cover it, yes. And go ahead and compost it, Spray it with some labs, spray maybe some JMS or some aerated compost tea, get some additional biology in there. Turn it a couple of times, definitely. You don't want it to be getting anaerobic. I don't know how big of a pile you're talking. If you're talking about just like a little couple buckets full, or if you're talking about like a mound of it, like with a backloader or with a bobcat, you don't want it to go anaerobic. You don't want it to turn rancid. You want it to stay nice and aerated the whole time. So you will be turning that. Yeah. In nature, they wouldn't, it doesn't get that piled high. So, I didn't know that. Mo is short for Marina. Okay. $15. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate the contribution. Says, thanks for all you do. You're very welcome. Thank you for being here. Let me know if I forgot or missed anybody. Let's see here. Nope. Okay. Iowa Viking, new member. All right. Welcome, my friend, even though I remember you from already previously. Yes, Dav, save the clovers for the spring. Definitely do that. All right. Oops. Yes. Jay Dixon says, yeah, thanks for the advice. Maybe too risky. It's risky. It's definitely risky. Now, what kind of manure was it? Was it horse or cow manure? Horse manure has a higher tendency of being sprayed with the broadleaf herbicides. Yes. Shooting the Soil says, I have liked the red winter wheat, just as hardy as rye, if not more so, over winter. Yes, the rye, winter wheat, those can be very Very, very cold hardy. The winter rye is like down to negative 40 degrees, something like this. I mean, really, really cold. Alex Coonan says, I did a Charles Dowding no dig style. Works very well for me, but I already had sandy loam. Yes, already had sandy loam. This makes a big, big difference. So, I've still got some ginger out in the. I still haven't even harvested all my ginger. I just went out there and picked this last night for a meal. But look at that stuff. It's so citrusy, fruity, delicious. It's real tender as well. You can like eat this stuff. You can just eat it like that, kind of. But it's not really tough and fibrous. Now, these were on the outside, the outliers. So the inside ones are going to be even much bigger than this. But we're going to ferment these with the honey, turmeric, lemon ferment. We're going to do that. We're going to do several other kinds of things with it because it doesn't store very long. We're going to pickle it. We're going to ferment it. It does not store very long. That's the only downside. 3 weeks to a month maximum. Now, can you plant this? Yes. You can take your ginger. Some people will try and bring the whole thing inside, but I've got it in a huge 30-gallon fabric grow pot that is not coming inside. And so what you can do, if you wanted to, take this and then plant it. You know, cut that even a little more. It doesn't need the roots. It doesn't need anything. You can just go ahead and, again, plant this just like we would any of the others and let it grow all winter long. Ginger is one of the things that it doesn't really have like a life cycle like the squash or peppers do. You know, it will just keep producing and growing. It will just keep on producing and growing, given the right conditions, because it's a tropical plant. And so it will grow and grow and grow and grow. So you can take this ginger and plant that inside. Yes, it works. I've done it. Sam Potsick says, I'm getting on the ginger train next season for sure. Oh, yeah, it's a wonderful train to be on. Yes. The Prodigal Gardener, I saw a cool video on making ginger ale. I think I'm going to try to make it with some of my ginger. Definitely, that would be good. My throat is getting a little bit scratchy, so I'm trying to drink this stuff. Muddy Paws. Do you refrigerate the honey, garlic, ginger, lemon ferment after a while? Yes. I found that out last year. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but I just learned about that. I think it was last year or maybe the year before from my uncle who keeps the bees where I got the honey. And he showed me that. I thought, wow, this thing is delicious, amazing. And he told me about all of the properties and everything. And it just made sense to me. So, because it's difficult to eat actual chunks of ginger and turmeric and lemons as well. It's not really like appetizing. It's not something you would do normally. So to make it in the honey, you can snack on it like candy. If you guys haven't made the ginger, watch my video I made last year. I might put that out again now. And wow, it's amazing. Like candy, except way better. But yes, Muddy Paws, I did find that you want to refrigerate it after a while. Otherwise, it tends to ferment like alcohol. It starts to smell like a bit of a mead or wine or something like that, because the honey will create like micro fermentations, you know. So it will encapsulate the ginger or the lemon and block it off from air, but it will like ferment in that little pocket, you know. So yeah, that's a part of it. Yes, that's true. Mom Computer says, why do anything iffy, then possibly have to live with regret? Yes, I'm sure she's talking about the Jay asking about, should I use the manure or not? Yeah, because if it is contaminated, you're going to have a real nightmare on your hands. It will be a nightmare. So But if not, then it's good. But yeah. So if you watched the short I made last week when I was down south, we use that because we know for sure that that's not contaminated. That's the only reason you want to use that stuff. Big Will Dog in the soil. Guys, check out his channel. Started a new channel. Big Will Dog in the soil. I like it. Says Nate, have you done a video about how to bioassay inputs? I'm doing it now and could use help not to miss something. What is bioassay again? Bioassay? Bioassay? What is that again? I forget. Pam says, I put garlic and honey. Ooh, yes, definitely. Linda Rogers says, I have never tried growing ginger. Do you recommend a good place to order it from? You may have mentioned, but I came in late. Actually, all the ginger I've ever grown, I just go to the organic store, the co-op here, and get the ginger. That's it. That's all you got to do. Maybe, you know, I've bought actual ginger plugs, like tissue culture ginger from Baker Creek before, and planted it, and nothing ever happened. I mean, the plant grew and stuff, but it produced no rhizome at all. So, but doing it this way, you just go to the store and get it. Even the Asian stores, I mean, any of it, you know, they say that some is sprayed with sprout inhibitors and stuff, but as long as it's plump and the skin is not starting to shrivel up, it pretty much always sprouts. I mean, it always sprouts. So, yeah. Then it will grow. You will see the piece that you plant will kind of eventually rot, but you'll plant it and it will grow shoots upwards and then roots down and then more rhizomes sideways. Yeah. These, when you harvest them, they are like this. You know, they're all blocked together like this, and the rhizomes are kind of spreading out, sort of like this, and the leaves are shooting. The big shoots are like 3 or 4 feet tall, and the rhizomes are all being produced right at about soil level. Yeah. So I just go to the store and get that. Yep. Now I do use the organic ginger, but I've had I found this new Asian market that has really big, fat, plump ginger, and it started to sprout just sitting in the counter. So I think I'm going to try that next year because I really like the look of it. VA Green says, Big Will Dog, I'll find your channel after the live. Yes, do that. We got to support the people in the tribe. Meyer Lemon says, Nate, does the ginger get invasive because of the rhizomes? No. I mean, if you're in the tropics, maybe. I'm not sure. I doubt it, though, because it doesn't grow that fast. But if you're in the cold, it dies. You know, it's a tropical plant. So the moment that it gets even the slightest bit of frost, boom, done. So. Prodigal Gardener says, I've never thought of a face cream with ginger. That sounds very interesting. Yes, well, ginger is a good vasodilator. It's a known stimulant. It's scientifically known to relax, you know, the blood vessels and things and improve blood circulation. It's also known in ancient Ayurveda medicine, which is a way of cooking and living, basically, that ginger stimulates the digestive fire. So they use ginger in Ayurveda a lot in India to help with the digestion of all the other ingredients. It's all about, in Ayurveda medicine, which is Ayurvedic cooking, it's one and the same, basically. The medicine is the food and the way of living. They're all about digestion. Everything comes down to digestive power. And so some people have a strong digestive fire. Some people, it's like a weak little candle, you know, and they'll eat things and it will just sit for a long time and it doesn't assimilate and they're kind of not hungry and they're kind of doesn't absorb a lot. That is a lot of people actually nowadays. Even in mega obese America, the people can be super obese and malnourished. Can you believe that? That happens. Okay, this happens in America, in other places as well now, because it's the American Empire way that is going out into the whole world. But it's you can be there are people that are clinically obese and diagnosed as malnourished. Yes, because their body's not absorbing the nutrients. They're getting tons and tons of calories, but the systems are so out of whack that they can't absorb things, and that the nutrients aren't there in the food. It's void. Even if they're taking vitamins and stuff, it doesn't matter. Those aren't in bioavailable forms. And so, um, uh, why did I start talking about that? Digestive fire. Yes, the Ayurveda. And so most people have a very weak digestive fire, but it's something that you can build. And I found this once I stopped living my unhealthy lifestyle. I came back and stuff, and for those 2 years I was vegetarian. I was doing all Ayurvedic, everything. I mean, the way of cooking. I was using the mustard seeds, the ginger, the hing, the ghee, doing all the things from my dosha, the pitta. And so it really did reignite the digestive fire. I mean, to the point now, my system can just whatever I put in there, boom, digest it, assimilate it, no problem. Eliminate it, no problem. So it's really wonderful. It's something you can build. And it's great to have a strong digestive fire. And ginger is one of the best things for the digestive fire. Yes. Mo says, VA Green has a great question. Oh, VA Green. Okay. Are you doing anything to winterize the large fabric pots at your mom's house? I don't know if we've talked about this yet. So let me take a sip, then we're going to talk about this. So, you guys have seen my mom's garden, and we laid down landscaping fabric over the grass and then put 150-gallon grow pots there. All right. They are filled with a peat and perlite mix. All right. Now we had the opportunity to get some soil from another project to get this. It's actually soilless growing medium. It's potting soil basically. It's basically like bags of Pro Mix or bags of peat perlite combination. We got it from a different project. Okay, and we put it into those bags because it would be very costly otherwise. But we were recycling it basically. And so they're filled with soilless growing medium. Now, the past several years, we have put in only the Viking nutrients and water. That's all my mom's garden got last year and the year before. All right. And it was amazing. Beautiful results. Huge, lush plants, big, fat, nice tomatoes and cabbages and all the good stuff that you would want from a garden. It was beautiful. But this year, everything started out like that. And then about mid-season, it just abruptly sort of died. Everything just sort of turned like, and I was like, what? We got the Viking nutrients in there. It's on a timed watering system. Now, what's going on? And it started occurring to me that I had seen this kind of thing before. It was like they're being starved, even though they had all the nutrients. I know that they did because the Viking nutrients was in there. And then I was like, oh no. So I went into there and I dug into the soil. And it's the moment I started digging into the soil, I heard rip, rip, tear, rip, 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 tear. And I thought, oh man. So I start digging into the bags, and the bags are totally full of tree roots. The tree roots, because it's on the south side of a few big old maple trees. And the tree roots over the past several years have grown up through the landscaping fabric and through the fabric grow pot and have just totally colonized the whole bag, literally. And so they're sucking all the nutrients out of the bags. And so even though, because we had a horrible drought and stuff, so the trees are like, whoa, score, because these bags are nice and moist and, we're watering them. So they're always moist and they're full of nutrients. Then tree roots grew right up in there, strangled everything out. So the pots are way too big and heavy, and they're like locked to the ground now, and we can't even move them. So the tree roots totally overran the whole thing. Yeah, I mean, I made several videos of this. I don't know if I posted any of them, but I got the footage for future videos of just going in there and saying, look, rip, 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 and just big old long strings of like piano wire, strong tree roots. And so we are going to do a totally different setup next year. Yep, we're gonna have to do a totally different setup next year. We're gonna have to take the fabric grow pots out. We're gonna use that soil though, and we're gonna probably put it in like the troughs that you saw. If you saw my video about garden bed designs a couple weeks ago, why I'm choosing the way we're going back here, then you will see we went to Tractor Supply, and I was looking at the different watering troughs, the aluminum ones. And those are totally 100% closed to the ground. Now, I would usually never recommend that because plants want the earth and the earthworms and all the microorganisms, everything. But in this situation, we need that. So I think we're going to set up a garden somehow using the same soil, but filling, maybe a half dozen of those troughs is what we're going to do. Something like that. And then we're going to have a different watering system. So there's going to be a lot of garden renovation happening next year. You'll see. We'll be making videos about all of it. And so that's the lowdown on that. That's why that's okay. So Meyer Lemon says, Nate, how are you going to fix your mom's garden? So that's what we just described. We're going to take all that soil out of there and put it into the troughs that are disconnected from the ground, because that's the only spot in the garden that we can really or the only spot in the yard that is ideal for the garden. And so we're going to put that there, and it's going to work. It's going to work great. Yeah. Monica Hancock says, happened to my garden as well. Finally put a barrier in. What kind of barrier? What kind of barrier? Yeah, the dad Dan says, my large fabric pots dry out so much this time of year. I put your onions in there this year and am right now piling on compost and shredded leaves. Nice. Thankfully, the onions, those Viking onions come from very good genetics, and so they will thrive. Yeah. Oh yeah, Mom Computer. If you don't get nutrients from good food, for example, microwaved or prepackaged foods, then you are perpetually hungry and will overeat. Absolutely. Not to mention anything of the chemicals that are literally put in there, designed to keep you in a state of hunger and a state of perpetual addiction to the foods. Yeah. And to people, it's like this, guys. It is really like this. These food scientists are, these are scientists. We're talking top of the world, very sharp individuals that are paid extreme amounts of money to do exactly that, to get you as addicted as possible to their product. Yes. And they say, oh, well, okay, so here's the law, here's the regulation. We can't use such and such chemical or blah, blah, blah. So let's devise a different way. Okay, so MSG is really frowned upon now, of course, for all its endocrine disruption and horrible effects. Well, let us just create a different sort of form. Let us just go through the back door, create a different type of MSG, and we'll call it hydrolyzed yeast. We'll call it some other name, and it'll just come in through the back door. It's like that, countless chemicals. So yeah, don't even, I could rant for a long time on that. Small Scale Gardening says, my wife is a yoga instructor and we are really focused in on our doshas and the digestive fire. Totally correct, Nate. Isn't it amazing what the ancient peoples learned over time? Yes, definitely. They learned over time, and they didn't need scientific instruments. They didn't need to know the exact molecular structure of this and that. They had ancient knowledge passed on over the years, and it was sacred at that time. And it still is in many parts. In the villages that I traveled to and things, guys, it is a whole different way of living. And it's how humans used to live like this, in the sense that there's like a transmission of knowledge from the elders to the young people. And this transmission of knowledge was considered very sacred in the old cultures. Very sacred, like the most sacred thing that could be done. And so all like the intermediate people, like our age and stuff, that was all sort of just to facilitate this interaction, this conveying of knowledge from the elders to the young people. And so, but that requires a lot of different things. Okay, in our society, all that's gone out the window. Sort of, just because you're old doesn't mean you're wise anymore. But back in the day, this thing was like that's how it was, and so they would pass on this knowledge. Very, very important. The things that they observed that they were passed on from their elders, but also they would add to it the things that they observed over their life. And so that's how they come up with these things, not overnight, not in even one person's lifespan, over hundreds of years and over thousands of years. And so we'd be a fool to just totally dismiss all of that, of course, and say, where's your science? Where's your peer-reviewed double-blind study, placebo double-blind study? And what peer-reviewed article is the dosha's review? Well, it's not, and it doesn't need to be, you know. But you can just learn about it, guys. Learn about it. If you want to let me get you a book, okay? Just hold right there, because if you want to get a good introduction, a base level introduction to Ayurveda and its cooking, let me get you the book. Check it out, guys. This is the book, and you know, I traveled for a long time and lived in India for quite some time, and traveled all over, learned, stayed at the ashrams, all that kind of stuff. But then also, you know, I read a lot, and so this is the book that you want for a good introduction to Ayurveda cooking by Vasant Lad. Yes, this is him. He is like the OG in Ayurveda science. They call it a science. And so he is the OG in that. All right. And so like the original. So you want to find you, this is an original copy. I'm sure that they make, well, I know that they make reprints now, but it gives you like a lowdown of what Ayurveda is for. See, Agni, the digestive fire, and it explains to you. The concept of digestion in Ayurvedic medicine is quite remarkable. It begins with the external preparation and cooking of food. The basic requirements of this are a fireplace for heat and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, it just explains digestion, it explains so much. And then it says chapter 5, setting up an Ayurvedic kitchen and pantry. Shows you all of the things, the utensils, the herbs and spices that you will need to set it up. And then it says menu planning. And then it goes on and gives you some really good, simple recipes. Now, a lot of new people want to complicate it, and you'll see people that try and, you know, want to be influencers and stuff, and they'll write their little book and all that. And that's great. I commend them for that. But Vasant is the master, a true master. And so you want to learn from the master. Like when you find somebody that is a master in something and you know it and your heart just tells you that, then receive that transmission of energy. Open yourself up to it. It's amazing. So this is very profound. Okay. So I highly recommend that book. Yes. Oh, absolutely. Wayne Corelli says it was much more common for 3 generations to live in close proximity where the grandparents had a big role. Absolutely. That's the first thing you notice when you go to older cultures, India and Nepal and Thailand and Vietnam and these places, that the elderly are all up in the mix. I mean, they've got a job to do right up to the end, you know. It's very important. They're not just cast aside and put into homes and things because they're not useful work in the workforce anymore. You know, so it's just totally different. Totally different. Big Will Dog says, Nate, the way I'm using bioassay is in relation to how an input, say manure or grass, affects the germination and growth. I'm making a video series now on it. Nice, nice. I used to, but that's really, I mean, my whole life, my whole 10 years in the mountains and stuff was all bioassaying. You know what I mean? I mean, all growing, it was all observing and learning and finding out how things work in relation to all of that. So, but if you mean like specifically, like, is the manure going to contaminate the seedlings? Then there are definitely ways to do it, but even that is not 100%. It's just not. It's not really. So yeah. But yeah, I mean, I would have to know more specifics. I would have to know specifics. But I'll check out your video, and then I'll see what you mean. Kim Williams says, absolutely, Nate. I spent a year in India. I learned so much. Definitely, yes. India, the oldest surviving civilization. Oh, yeah. That's a good statistic. H-Wit. 93% of scientists agree with whoever is paying their salary. The other 3% are banned by the media. Yes, this is very true. This is true. Oh yeah, El Reed. I will get a link to this, definitely. Yeah. Another book I highly recommend that you guys read, Entropy. Okay. I'm revisiting this book now, but I highly recommend this book. All right. The reason I'm revisiting is because this was written in 1981. All right. And it gives you a worldview that, I mean, if you're reading it now, knowing what we know now about the world and the way things are, this is like a time capsule. It's the closest thing to like a time machine, because it's hard copy. This book is from 1980. Yeah. Viking edition. It literally says Viking editions published 1980. So it was written in 1980, and so it's not electronic, so it can't change. This is an original copy, and so you can read it, and wow, things. It's almost prophetic now in the worldview. What it does for your worldview, it explains so much of what we're seeing now. The reason I'm rereading it is because just recently, this was written in 1980. Now in 2024, this man just wrote another book. And I immediately, it just was released like a week ago. I immediately purchased it. I thought, wow, imagine 1980. He was already kind of old in 1980, I thought, but I guess he's like 90 or something. But imagine what he's seen. Imagine the difference between 1980 and 2024. So I very much look forward to see what he has to say. You know, you don't have to agree with everything that someone says to learn from them. Yeah. Author Jeremy Rifkin. Look, Jeremy Rifkin. But this, start with this one. Start with this one, guys. And view it from the stance that it's 2024. This was written in 1980. And it's just amazing. He was off. He missed the point on several things, as far as he thought that solar, his thoughts on solar and wind, the technology. But besides that, the way that he explains the population boom, the way that he explains the energy crisis, the way that he explains the law of entropy and how it's the supreme law that governs, it's just amazing. Even though we can know these things, the way he puts it is so, it exercises your mind. It stretches your mind in such a beautiful way. So highly recommend it. Okay. So get all three of these books and just absorb the wonderful knowledge. Hey, that's a good one. You don't have to agree with everything someone says in order to learn from them. This is exactly correct. Yes. Give us details. Yes. Well, the detail, I mean, I could go on and on. Monday during the Thrive Live, we will talk about I don't know anything about this book yet, but I do know a lot about this book. So maybe Monday during the Thrive Live, we need to talk about this book and what it entails. So I'll kind of summarize. I'm not going to read from it, but I will sort of summarize it and we will talk about it. It's mega important for people to understand. But it's kind of like one of those, it's kind of like one of those mirage pictures or like those optical illusion pictures that you're looking at it for a long time and you just don't see it. But then once you see it, whoa, you can't unsee it. It's like, oh, is it a lady or is it the face of two ladies or is it a wine glass? That kind of thing. Well, people will look at it and I don't see ladies. I just see the wine glass. They can look at it for a long time and then someone will point it out to them and, oh, wow. And then they can't unsee it. It's very much the same way. You can just be looking at at everything one way, and then all of a sudden somebody can point something out to you, and you, oh, wow. And then you can never unsee it. Yeah. So it's a wonderful thing, guys. Yes. Megan, did I see that Luke from In My Gardener just bought property to further his seed company? Very exciting. Nice. That is awesome. I love to see people succeeding. Now, are you talking about just recently or like this season? Because I thought he just bought some. Yes, shooting the soil. Oh, yes. Ushad Lad and Vasant Lad. Yes, this one. Definitely you want to, you want to get in on that. Okay, guys. So let's see here. Oh, just yesterday. Wow. I'm going to have to check it out. Nice. Yeah, he's already got a nice thriving business there. So I believe, well, I don't really know, but did his father start that seed company? Is that how that worked? Because he's not very old. He's still in his 20s. So it's what? Linda Rogers says, I must be in the section of the country that is cutting off information. I have been dislocated every time you hold up a book. Okay, so one last time, guys. Ayurvedic cooking for self-healing. Ushad Lad and Dr. Vasant Lad. He's written many books, but this is the one you want. Entropy by Jeremy Rifkin is 1980. That's the one I recommend. Now, this one I can't necessarily recommend because I have not even begun to read it. But if you read this one, you're going to think, wow, all these years later, this guy's writing another book that is going to stretch your worldview. I'm all for it. Because it's like you want to have a flexible and resilient worldview. You do. You don't want to have a stifled and narrow and fragile and brittle and rigid sort of worldview. You need to have one that is very fluid, that is very malleable and adaptable. And it gets that way by exercising it, by traveling, and also reading things that are even not that you don't necessarily agree with or understand. It doesn't matter. So, all right. Okay, Dad Dan says, give us a brief definition of what he means by entropy. So entropy is one of the first law of thermodynamics, everybody knows. Energy cannot be created or destroyed in this world. Only its form can change. Yes? So we're all very aware of that first law of thermodynamics, that the sun doesn't create energy, it just transforms it. You don't create energy, it just transforms it. This thing doesn't create energy, it just transforms it. So we're well aware of the first law, but the second law of thermodynamics says that energy can only be transformed in one direction, from ordered to disordered, from usable to unusable, from hot to cold. You see, from ordered to chaotic. It can only transform in one direction. So for example, when we burn a log, so it's ordered, it's usable, it's concentrated, and then we burn the log and energy is released, and it goes into the atmosphere. It only goes in one direction, the entropy process. Never can we take the ashes and does it reform into a log. It doesn't go that way. You understand? So it only goes in one direction. We can't walk into a room and set our cup of coffee down, and all the heat in the room goes to the cup of coffee, and the coffee suddenly is hot and the room's cold. It doesn't work that way. It works only one way, from hot to cold. We set the cup down and it dissipates into the room until it eventually reaches equilibrium with the room. It dissipates that way. So that's the second law. It's amazing. I mean, it really, so yeah, I could go on and on about this. We will talk about this Monday morning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time at the Thrive Like a Viking channel. Okay. So we will see you guys there. All right. Thank you guys very much for everything. And I appreciate you all being here. And remember, all winter we'll be doing these Saturday lives. No problem. We won't be making as many videos, regular videos, but we definitely will be making them on the Thrive channel. We'll be doing cold training, sauna therapy, all that kind of, I'll make actual videos for that this winter. We're going to do some Travel Like a Viking channel. We're going to start those up again. So you guys can check all that stuff out. There's like 30 videos on the Travel Like a Viking channel. If you want to get caught up in the story, go ahead. It's where I'm documenting all of the travels and stuff like that. So my 10 years of traveling the world, I've been documenting. Well, you'll see. Just check them out if you're interested. If you like storytelling, if you like to learn about the world, if you like to see some experience, then I kind of act out the stories and stuff like that. So yeah, you can check that out. All right. We will see you guys Monday, and we will see you guys right here next Saturday.